everyone. It's
Hey,
Michael White and
hey.
Anthea Morphetus, and we have a special guest today. Guys, her name is Melissa Rodriguez, and she's a happily married woman. And we are going to ask her some questions on how to attract the right partner. Because as we know in this day and age, dating someone, leading it up to marriage, and getting that ending success point is like the most crucial part, right? So, to talk to someone that's happily married, because there's some people are like, I'm married. Shouldn't you be happily married? So, we're definitely going to be asking her a lot of questions on how to attract the right partner. So, Melissa, go ahead, take the floor, tell people who you are.
Hello. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Anthea. I'm so honored to be on your show. Thanks so much for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Rodriguez, and yes, I've been married 10 years now, and very happily. Thank
You
you.
know what? Because
Yes,
you've been married for 10 years,
yes.
Yeah.
you get, so, yeah, you get a holler because you've been married. That 10 years is a long time. So,
It is
go
a
ahead and
long
take the
time,
floor.
isn't it? A very long time, and actually, it's many people, like Michael just said as well. They might get to the marriage, but find that the commitment side was one of the hardest things, and they're not happily married. Where I can tell you from my own experiences, knowing Melissa myself, known her for probably coming up maybe nearly a year now,
Yeah.
and I've never heard a complaint, never. I think Melissa has something that she's taught me a lot about relationships. Just having conversations with her, and and literally to have her fit here, I feel extremely blessed to have on our show because she can give us some really good nuggets, and I
Yeah.
know it because she's given me good nuggets. So yeah, it's really, really, really interesting. So. What is it? What was the let's start from the beginning, Melissa.
Yes.
Let's go back a little bit before you were married. What type of relationships was you experiencing at the time?
Well, I had, my experiences with unhealthy relationships. And I really feel that that was tied to what was happening within me, that I was not feeling good, happy, and well about myself, or about my life. I really had no clue how it all worked. I just thought, the idea is get married, live happily ever after, right? And so, like so many, that's what I desired. Most desire love and to have a partner without fully understanding what that means, what a healthy relationship means, and without fully knowing themselves.
Hmm.
So I think that, when I began a journey of self discovery and pressed pause on the dating scene, I took 2 years to just really give some attention to myself and figure out how to be happy and live my best life. And I think that attracting the right partner for you and really understanding what you desire is so key.
Mhm.
So if you're desiring love, it's important to first love yourself and know yourself.
Hmm.
And I know this is so talked about on so many platforms about self love, but there's a reason because it's so important to know your worth, know your value, know what you value, what's important to you, what your morals are, and really have that belief in yourself first to know what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and we've spoken about this so much, and you're so it's what you've just said is profound because so many people go into relationships and they don't know themselves, they don't know what they desire. And I don't know if ever you guys have definitely heard this, where somebody will end a relationship and one of the friends will say, well, just go and find someone else to help you get over it. And that is like one of the worst things you can do for yourself because you're just going from one to the other and you're not giving yourself that time to understand, well, what happened, what part did I play, because we are the ones that are attracting this to us, right? And if we're not going within us and we're not understanding what's going on in us, then how can we move forward in the next relationship and expect it to be better? Expect our true self to turn up in the best possible way, right? Sorry, Michael. What was
Oof. Oh man, you guys said a lot for me to like, whoa, because I love what she said about the table. That comes up in a lot of discussions. What do you bring to the table? this magical table.
Yes.
At the end of the day, and this is what I told another woman. When we talk about the table, we need to talk about, okay, what do you bring to the table? Are you bringing positivity, negativity? But I think a lot of times we really have to assess of, we shouldn't be so concerned with the other person, but we should be concerned first with what we're bringing first,
Yes.
and then ask that other person what they're bringing. And a man like myself, I need to know all sides of what you're bringing. Are you an angry person? Are you fun? I just don't want to know the good things. I also
Mhm.
want to know
Yeah.
Absolutely.
the other stuff too, because then I can decide, is it something I even want on my table?
Mhm.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, you're an angry person. Let's say you're not agreeable. Let's say you're not feminine enough. Those are not things I want on my table. That's not a table I want to eat off of. So it's like you have to really be able to analyze it as a whole to say, this is what I bring to the table, but I also need to like really define what that is. Because a female that I spoke to a couple days ago, she was like, I cook, I clean, I do all these things. I'm like, yeah, other girls do those things too. What else do you do? You know what I mean? And I wasn't trying to like put her down or disparage her. And I gave her the best advice you could do. I said, if you want to get picked by any man, put yourself ahead. And she's like, well, how do I do that? I said, the best thing that you can do to get picked, like out of like, women, is be peaceful. I said, how many women are peaceful women?
Not many.
Not many. So I said, if you want to make yourself stand out, yeah, do all the cooking, the cleaning, all those other things, be a woman of value, but be a woman of peace. And a man will pick you hands down.
And it's interesting because you just said that, Michael. I just wanted to touch on what you was just saying. I spoke to a friend a couple of days ago who was actually going for a job. She's abroad, so the whole spectrums are slightly different because it's a small place in Cyprus, and she went for a job interview and she was speaking to the owner of I think she's a massage therapist, so she was speaking to the owner there, and she's got running this huge organization by herself. And she had said to my friend, "Look, I'm really stressed out. I'm really angry most of the time, and I get really frustrated with things." And she just said the negatives out straight away. And it's not a relationship, but it would be a working relationship, right?
Mm,
And she stood back and said to me, I had to really think about what she was saying because I had to understand, do I want to work with somebody like that?
mm,
So it's not just on the relationship of what you're going into long term with a love partner. It's also in every other aspect of relationships, because if you're going into a workplace and your boss is going to be angry, frustrated, and constantly moaning about things, you've got to stop back and say to yourself, do I really want to be around that? Can I be around that? Is it something that maybe you want to teach yourself? Maybe you want to learn how to be at peace no matter what's happening around you. I mean, whatever it is for you, but it's really interesting to say we want to know the negatives too, because so
mm,
many of us turn up with this smiley face showing all the best side of us for the first, whatever it is, first few months, or maybe first couple of months or first week, and then the cracks show, and then the real person then just appears, and they have got deep rooted beliefs that are not serving them. They have got anger issues. They have brought their past along into this relationship, and they haven't found out who they are yet, and walked and stood in peace, right? So yeah, it's really, really, really top thing to be touching on there, because too many of us ignore those things. And yeah, sorry, Melissa, please
No,
do
that's all
continue.
spot on, because it's more than just what you're doing, it's about who you're being. And who
Right.
you're being, who you're showing up as, is that someone you'd be attracted to? Is that what you're looking to attract in a partner into your life? And so, for me, I'm going to jump ahead of what I
wait,
was
call
going to
me.
say
Call
with,
me.
I made a list of exactly what I desired in a partner. And everything on that list were qualities that were my morals, my values, what was important to me, and how I wanted to live, the lifestyle that I wanted. And I think that's important to know about yourself so that you can know what you desire. And then I took a look at how I had been living prior, because I was, again, on the beginning of my journey of self-discovery here. And I realized, I had not fully been living in the way that I believed and desired myself. So I began living in that way and showing up in that way. And I think that it's about who we're being, because that's what we're attracting into our life. We're attracting the energy we're putting out. So knowing what you desire, what you love, what's important to you, your morals, your values. And I made that list. And I think that's also super important. Everything on that list, my husband checked off. And I'm going to even come out and say that I had conversations around this list. I didn't just say, hey, here's my list. But I had conversations to kind of understand who he was before we really got dating. We spent a lot of time talking. We took it really slow, which was also opposite of how I had done things before in dating. And this time I was so much more intentional, really wanting to know, is this going to be the right partner for me to share life with? And I want to also interject there that that's not the end of the story. You get married and live happily ever after. That's the beginning of the rest of your story together. And it's a journey of continuing to grow together through the experience of life. And on what you said, Anthea, I was very honest up front. And I think that's also crucial. I let him know I was a lot to handle, and that, if, he felt that he was up for a relationship with someone that, and it wasn't like anything out there, but
Well,
I
that's what I
was
was
just
going to ask. Because I'm like, can you define, like, if someone said to me, I'm a lot to handle, I'd be like, you better tell me what it is, like right now, like
yes,
before you
yeah,
even like,
absolutely. And
tell me
so
what it is.
again,
Like,
that goes back to knowing yourself and knowing, like, there's certain things that, we all have those certain things, right? Like, we have those certain things that are really important to us. And he was super honest with me as well. He said, listen, when the ball game's on, I want to chill and watch the game. And I was like, cool, I love the game. Like, so you find someone you're compatible with that has and desires the similar lifestyle. I think morals are super important too. If your morals do not match, I think that brings a lot of disharmony. So when considering a partner, really considering those deep things, not just the surface level, and knowing yourself that much. The other thing was I really began to live my best life. Like, so many people being single, right, can have a lot of fears and worries and doubts and like, am I good enough? Am I ever going to meet the right person? That's human nature for so many being single, especially those that have experienced, tough relationships or experiences. Just know you're not alone. You're not the only one that's thinking thoughts like that. Like, and that that doesn't have to be the story. You can let go of the fear, realize that there's over 7 billion people on the planet. There's a partner that is the perfect match for you. For you, not a perfect person, but the perfect person for you to share life with. And when you shift that focus and realize, that's when you start to attract the right person for you.
man, oh, there's so much I want to say that she said. You see, what she said was so amazing because, look, there's good people out there. So you could find a good person, but but is that person specifically made for you? See, there's a big difference. I can meet a girl, she's a good girl, she's great, but is she the one that's made for me? There's a big difference. I want the girl that's made for me specifically instead of
Yeah.
just a good girl. I want someone that's specifically made for me. And I think, like, when you pick your partner, that's who they should be because it's vice versa. You're made for them, they're made for you. But I also want to touch on why we have you on the podcast. You said something that a lot of people don't do. You took accountability because you're like, I've dated a lot of bad partners in the past, but you took accountability for it. A lot of people don't do that because at the end of the day, it's like you picked them. You
Yeah.
picked them. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's so easy to be like, oh, it was them. They did this and they did that. And but you picked them. They wouldn't be able to do what they were doing if you didn't pick them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Taking
move forward.
self-responsibility is so liberating. And I'm a big advocate for that because you can either look at it. some people can look at it as like coming down on themselves, blaming and judging themselves. And that's not how I see it. I see it as you either have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. You're either repeating patterns you've experienced and kind of living on autopilot, unaware of what's happening. You're unaware of what's happening within you, and you're attracting different people and situations, but the same old feelings.
Yes.
When you go within and really understand how things work in your energetic being, and that everything's energy vibrating at a frequency. So the energy you're showing up with in your life, if you're showing up with low self-esteem, which I've been there. I went through my time with self-healing and identifying, like you said, what part did I play? I had spent years with the old story of the old relationship playing in my head. And, that blame and why didn't, all those questions. And if you've ever been in a relationship that wasn't healthy and didn't work out, you understand what that feels like and what's going on in your head. It's just constant thoughts, right? And I said, I just want this to stop. I want to figure out how to let this go. So I took time to intentionally heal. And the biggest part of that process was forgiving myself for staying, forgiving myself for going back and allowing what happened. Because I always had a choice. I just didn't know it. At the time, I didn't feel like I had one. So anyone that's in a bad relationship, and I say bad, I'd rather say unhealthy. If you're not,
yeah, like it's unhealthy. But I love the fact that you touched on something. You had choices, right? But it's so interesting. A lot of people realize that they have choices, but they don't like the choices. Oh, like I should leave, but it's like you know you should, but you just don't like the choice.
a
But it's
lot of
like
times fear keeps
fear.
people stuck. I think we're either living from a state of love or fear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love
And
and
you
fear
know
cannot
what?
coexist.
No, it can't. And you're so right. Like, when it comes down to those relationships, inside yourself, but the fear of the unknown, where I've always said the unknown is always the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen in a minute's time. I don't know. I can have an intention for my overall hour to hour, let's say, but I don't actually know. I don't know that I can't see within that to say this is what's going to be next. So life is the unknown. But people, when they walk away from somebody, see it as a very bigger unknown to what it actually is, because like we always say, the divine is with you, and when you make a choice, you're going to be backed up with what you're doing, right? And it's a trust and faith within you. However, when you haven't done that self-love and that self-healing and that forgiving is so deep, so powerful, because when we hold on to old experiences, old stories, and we don't forgive ourselves and show up and say, okay, look, I've got my own things going on. I can tell you, yes, I can give you all my good points, but I know there's times where I can get a bit moody. I know I get moody now. I do. And
Yeah,
even
but at least tell me that up front, so at least I know, like I'm like, okay, like I can deal with it, instead of like you don't tell me, and then next thing you know, there's a plate flying across my face. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. See, I definitely won't throw plates.
no, you know what I mean, though. Like,
when I was younger, I
The
would have
old me, yeah.
you know what I mean, though. Like, I don't want to
Smash.
find that out. I don't want to find that out later, where it's like,
No,
did a plate just fly by my face? Like, you should have told me that you handle things like that.
And this is the thing, but if you're showing up and you're saying to that person, you know what, look, I do, because we can't all stay in one emotion. That's why we have many emotions. And, it's a reaction to things also. So if you know that you're not the greatest at your reacting, and you sometimes react quite negatively, if you're upfront with that person, say, look, maybe together we can work together, and we can support each other on the things that you'd like to grow on and become a better version of yourself on those things. But like Michael just said, if you turn up and you're just giving everything, oh, I'm the sweetest, and I did, and I've got this, and I'm whatever it is you're going to say, everything's the shiny diamonds, and then 3-4 months in, the person's like, okay, and then you spend like a weekend with them, and then you've woken up and you're literally throwing things because he said something or she said whatever, whoever it is, man or woman, then you're setting yourself up for your own failure, because you're not being congruent. You're not being that trueness, and you have to walk around with that and have that on your consciousness, knowing that about yourself. And the more you get to know yourself, the more you can be upfront and stand accountable for what you do, right, and who you are and how you show up, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the other part that's so powerful about taking that self-responsibility, taking that time to heal, release, and forgive the past is so you don't bring it forward with you into your new relationship. And I always use the analogy, like if you were remodeling the kitchen, you'd rip out those old cabinets. You wouldn't just slap the new ones on top of it, right? So like cleanse and clear out all that old stuff and let it go. And, you know, that sets you free to live your best life now and be happy now, to be your best self now. And also, when you go into that new relationship, you won't be carrying all the baggage of the past, like hidden, tucked away somewhere, that you've stuffed it down and tried to ignore it and pretend it's not there, but it is, you know? So I think it's really powerful.
I love that you said that, though, because I'm openly going to tell you, as a man dating, having to deal with a woman or women that have been like hurt by other men. Now it's like I have to come in and repair the work, the damage that another guy did. You see what I'm saying? Like they're coming into a relationship with trust issues or like abandonment issues or like all these type of issues. And it's like, now I got to come in and work extra harder to repair damage that another dude did because you didn't take the time to be single, heal, deal with it, and then come into the dating space.
And they probably didn't let you know at the beginning, right? You find these things out later. And I suppose that's the part, that's the frustrating part, because
it's not even the frustrating part. It's give me the choice. So then I'm like, yo, I don't want to deal with that. I would rather deal with someone that's healed than deal with someone that's like, yeah, like, you know, I have trust issues. And then you don't hear a solution. Like, I'm going to therapy. I'm doing this. I have trust issues. I'm like, yo, that's a red flag. Like, I'm out. Because then I know that dealing with you long term, I do anything. It's a volcano waiting to erupt. So it's like I don't want to deal with someone that has trust issues. If I'm out, they're gonna be like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" Blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
That's suppressing, isn't it? It's massively suppressing as well. It just ruins. It can take you to another place. And again, you know, if you're not upfront, then you're making that. We said earlier on, like we're the ones making the choice and picking that person. But if we're picking the person under false intent, then you know, then we've got to deal with it later. And it's, you know, we want to be in a clear space. We want to be able to show up and have, like the same would be for me as a woman. If I attracted I attracted a man into my life, and I find out he's got trust issues. I try and do, and I realize there's trust issues. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with someone that has trust issues, right?
I was just going to say that goes both ways, men and women. It does. And it's a matter of taking the time to get to know who someone actually is. And I think in today's microwave society, people are in a big hot hurry to rush ahead. And I think when you slow down, take the time to actually get to know someone, within 30 days, if you're having conversations with people that you're, you know, someone that you're dating, you're going to see their true self. They're going to show who they really are if you're aware and paying attention.
I love what you said. Don't rush. I like that. But I feel like, I don't want to say I feel, I've noticed that a lot of women are rushing because they waited too long. Now, what I mean by that is you have a lot of women out here that are 30 years old, 35, and waited too long to find the right partner. So now they're in rush mode because they're like, oh, I need to have a kid. I need to do all this stuff. And
clock's ticking.
Yeah, the clock's ticking. Yeah, I ain't gonna say it because, you know what I mean, you guys can. But you know what I mean? You waited too long, because I've noticed that when a guy finds a good woman, he doesn't wait to lock her down. It doesn't mean that you're single and you're not good to lock down, but I'm saying if you wait too long, and you've noticed this, guy, I was at a wedding yesterday, so I was around a lot of beautiful women. Majority of them married. Why? Because the guy was like, he saw value right away. He was like, boom, marriage for you. We're doing this.
I think the
And
stars align just right. When
that
it's the
too.
right one, it's like the stars align just right. And
But
yeah.
let's be honest, most women, when they say, well, I don't want to be married after 35, I don't want to be married after 40, then it's like, well, why did you wait so long?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys interact with a lot of women. A lot of them say that I don't want to have kids after 35, or I don't. Then it's like, then you need to sit down, you need to heal. You know what I mean? If I could give advice to anyone, I'd be like, look, in your 20s, you're still discovering yourself, but like you should
Mhm.
be doing a lot of healing during that
But
time.
people don't know to do that, Michael. This is,
No.
I mean, this is what, these podcasts are about also, and like what the
Yeah.
work that we do, right? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Awareness.
general, like I know when I came across the law of attraction teachings and understanding self-discovery at the age of 30 was when the first time I started to be able to look within. But before that age, I had no idea.
No.
I honestly just thought, this is what's being dealt with to me. This is what I've got to deal with. This is what I need to do. I didn't
Right.
understand any of it. I had no idea. I would never have known that I need to take and get to know myself. I didn't even know what my thoughts were. I didn't even know that. I knew there
Mm.
was thoughts going on, but I didn't understand it. Didn't even know what the word desire meant. I didn't know what
Yeah.
manifestation meant. I'd never
Exactly.
even come across those words before.
Yeah.
So I think for where we're at today, and so many things, the beautiful thing about today society and how it is so many people are becoming aware. But I think also what happens is people think that they know about self-discovery but they don't practice what they're preaching. They hear it, they can
Yeah.
speak it, but to actually do
Absolutely.
it is a
Apply it.
whole, yeah, they don't actually
Take the
apply
time.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't take that time. And unless, you only know yourself if you're taking that time for yourself. But today, like, I know all of us would like probably want to say the same, is take that time for you, because
Mm.
this is
Yeah.
where the change happens. So if you are 35 years old and you really do want children, and that's what you're longing for, then you need to come to that peace in yourself and get to know you. And just like Melissa said, write that list down, understand what you're about, understand who you are, understand your desires, your needs, your wants. What is it you want from a man? What do you want? Even down to what do you want him to look like? Because myself and Michael had a discussion on Friday, I think it was, or was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
We were saying, if you could, what can happen is you end up getting with somebody who, let's say your deepest true desire is, me as a woman, let me just say as an example, let's say I like 6 foot, blue eyes, and quite slim. Let's say that's what I've always desired. And then I get with somebody who's 5'6", quite plodgy, and brown eyes.
Oh,
Now,
wait a minute. Yeah, we had this discussion.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we
we
did.
had
Yeah.
this discussion, right? So
Yeah, we
then
did.
what
Yeah, because
happens?
I'm like, if that's your deepest desire, but you're dating the completely opposite, yeah, it
Then
doesn't
what's
make
going
sense.
to happen? What's going to happen is the universe will bring you that deepest desire at some point, because you wanted it, you've asked for it. And then your eyes are going to start wondering, because you're like, well, okay, and that could be your match, but then it's because you're not going for your deepest desires. You're going and settling for something because you go, oh, well, I just need to have a baby, or I just need to get married. And you're not really going deep within yourself to understand yourself and what it is that you like and what attracts you to that person. What is it? There's so many factors to spending the rest of your life with somebody or building on that partnership, right?
Mhm.
And people don't understand the word commitment. That I know I've got a course called Your Law, and in one of the steps is commitment. And one of the things I say is understand how long this is going to take when you commit to something. Now, if you really, when you think of the rest of your life, let's say you're 40 years old and you've met somebody and you're thinking the rest of your life. So to me, that's around 40, 50 years of my life still to go. And I'm thinking I'm going to be with this person for 50 years. And I've got to think long term. Not that I'm always saying you've got to go as far as that, but you've got to really dig deep into you to understand, can you do that? Is that something you really desire, to be with someone? Or would you just like to have short-term relationship? People don't realize a commitment, what a commitment is. It's a commitment. You don't just like the first little hurdle comes along and you're out. And doesn't that happen so much in this day and age? You hear people got married, 12 months later, they're divorced. Why? Because they didn't understand what commitment meant, right?
Yeah, there's so many factors there, and you touched on some really, really powerful points. Settling just to have someone, settling because you're afraid to be alone, settling for, I mean, we could go on and on that topic. And it really comes back to knowing yourself, knowing what you desire in a partner, knowing what you desire in your lifestyle, having that compatibility, and what is a good, healthy relationship. That's something we could do a whole show on.
Like, that would be a discussion we totally need to have. But I honestly think, like, for a lot of people, especially like when it comes to attracting the right partner, and I'm gonna say some truths here, is because a lot of times we'll say, well, hey, this person needs to handle me. Yo, you're not a pet. Like, I'm not a zookeeper. I don't want to have to handle you. I want you to be my woman. I'm gonna be your guy. So a lot of times I feel like people have this mentality when it comes to attracting the right partner, they're just going to have to deal with me. I'm like, no, like, a relationship is a life journey. Can I look at you and say, yo, I can do this with you for 40 years?
Yeah, it's about being
I don't want to look at you and be like, oh man, I can only do this for 3 months and I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, I want to look at you and say, yo, good and bad, not too out there, but like whatever comes our way together, we can deal with it together. But I think honestly, that's when relationships are tested the most, is when the bad stuff comes. So when I'm looking at attracting the right partner, I'm learning to be more at peace with me. I'm learning to be more sound with me, what I can tolerate, what I can't tolerate. Because again, you have different things out here. You know, I'm a guy and I meet a lot of women, and some will say, well, I like a guy that's very assertive to put me in my place. I'm like, I shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you should know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Yeah, I think you attract what you put out there. Again, it comes back to who are you being, and that energy flows where our attention goes. And so if we're focused on what we actually desire in someone, and we're living as our best self, and we're loving our life, and this was the place I came to. I let go of all those fears and those worries in my head, and I shifted to a positive growth mindset. And this is when everything shifted.
Can you say like what those worries are? Because I think a lot of women have them, and they'll say, I don't think I'm ever going to find a good guy.
Right, exactly. It's all those, anything based in fear of not being good enough, not deserving, not being worthy, fear of never meeting the right person for you. And, you know, it takes one negative thought and you give it attention, and next thing you know, your mind is spinning with all these worries. And I've heard so many people say it's so hard to meet people today, especially in, you know, what we've been dealing with in our world the last year and a half. And again, this comes back to mindset. And that's why I encourage, the positive growth mindset, and the positive believing there's over 7 billion people on the planet. The partner for you exists. They're probably not living that far away, maybe 15 minutes away, looking at the same moon as you, and also wishing to meet you. Now, can't you almost imagine them in their living room, looking out the window, like wishing to meet you as well? And it's true. What you believe will be true for you. So if you believe you're never going to meet the right person for you, that's the energy you're showing up with in your life. And if you believe
coming from, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about the story you're telling, what you're declaring into your life, the conversations you're having. This is where you're bringing all of that energy. And so when you shift to instead believing, no, I know the right partner's out there for me. I now know myself. I know what I bring. I've let go of the past. And you're showing up just loving yourself and loving your life. I really shifted to a place of, I'm going to make the most of every day being single from now on, instead of focusing on not having a partner and not having someone to share life with and feeling down about that, which didn't feel good. And it didn't help me show up my best. Right. So
No.
instead, I started to just trust and know that I was going to meet the right person for me. And I wanted to make the most of every moment being single from then on. And I began to just take myself out to dinner, go fun places, meet with friends, really enjoy my time doing whatever I wanted. Because once you get into a relationship, it becomes about us, not me.
I agree
So,
with that. And I love what you said about not focusing on being in a relationship so much, but having the best relationship with yourself. I agree with that. But honestly, like when you look at it from like a perspective, we also have to look at a happiness standpoint. Where do
mhm.
women find their highest form of happiness? They get their highest form of happiness from being in a marriage, from getting a ring, and marriage from a guy that they love and adore. It's what you guys were told since you guys were little girls. Do your thing, grow up, do your thing, grow up, but then eventually get a ring, marriage from a guy. Because again, and I always tell women this, and they're like, you know what? You're absolutely right. It's a woman's highest form of happiness. It doesn't mean she won't be happy with her job. It doesn't mean that she won't be happy with other things. But her highest form of happiness is getting respect, love, and provision from a man that she loves, respects, and adores.
I would have to say, in my humble opinion, that it's
Dude,
love. That it's
that too.
love. And our natural intended state is love. When you
Mm-hmm.
can connect to your highest self and fully loving yourself, opening up to receive love from the divine,
That's true.
and opening up to love yourself and others, that's when you're living your happiest. And I was able to achieve that state before meeting my husband. And I
A
think
hundred
that that's a
percent.
really important point.
Well, that's why I wanted
Because
to
if
ask you the
you're not
question.
happy now, getting married is not going to make you
Oh
happy.
God,
No,
no. But that's why I wanted to
absolutely
ask you
not.
like the question,
Yeah.
like you were happy before, but now that you have your husband, you are happier because you found your
So
partner.
I'm, I believe that
Shoot.
I have a different contentment, but
Oh,
I
that's a good
am
way. Yeah.
happy. It's a different lifestyle when you're
Mm,
single to being
yeah.
married. So it's kind of hard to compare. I
Mm.
It's a
definitely look
shift.
at
It's a
my
shift,
life.
isn't it? It's a shift of
Yeah,
It
experience,
it's a
is
right?
shift.
very
Yeah.
Like
much.
But
one
I
Yeah.
meant
minute,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a higher form of it doesn't mean that your happiness was any less, but it's like a higher form. It's like you've elevated.
So my favorite quote
Shoot.
when I was right before I met my husband was, bring me a whole person and I will bring you a whole person and we will have us twice as much of love and everything.
Okay, yeah, that's a better way of
So
putting it.
we
Yeah.
add to each other's lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that
takes
makes sense.
that makes so much sense, and
Yeah.
I think I love that point of what you're saying there. It's like once you are happy within yourself, that life of being single and being out and just enjoying you, knowing with a knowingness what's coming in because
Yeah,
you've asked for it.
absolutely.
You know,
You're
7.5
trusting.
you're
Yeah.
trusting that that's what's
Mm.
happening. But I think going a bit more on the other side to how a lot of people will be, they'll maybe attend a wedding, let's say, and in that wedding they think, oh, I wish I had, they might have been in this really good state, but they go and they go to a gathering like that and go, why haven't I got my man yet? And then they recognize again what's happening and go back into the lower vibrational state and start to they can go on a downward spiral from that. So
Yeah,
to stay above
definitely.
that, I suppose it's like in that
Mm.
moment of these things happening, you could probably if you agree with me here, you could possibly be at a wedding and feel like that, but then just say, well, you don't know, I might look around the corner and find the man that's for me,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
be
And
open
so,
to it.
yeah, that's so powerful because every time, for me, it was coming home from work, right? And you're coming home from work. It was evening time back then that I was working. And sometimes I would think, like you wish you had someone you were going home to. And then instead, while I was driving, I'm stopped at the stoplight. I would just say, you know what? I'm not going to let myself go down that low vibration because it
Mm.
doesn't feel good. It doesn't bring anything good. So I intentionally instead began to just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, God, for my partner. I know he's on his way and I'm going to meet him anytime now. He literally showed up within 2 months of shifting my energy about
I
love.
do like what you're saying because I see what you're saying. Like now I get it. It's not being in a place of lack, it's being in a place of abundance.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
you feel like I don't have a partner, you're lacking, like you feel like Like you're I don't even want to say low vibration. You feel like you're lacking instead of acting in
Yeah,
wholeness. Instead of being like,
exactly.
I got my best life now, things are good. Like you're in a whole place, like so like I get what you're saying now, like 100% of like don't go
Yeah,
to a place where, oh man, I don't have a man, like I must be like,
yeah.
oh, because sometimes that rabbit hole goes deep. So
It
Yeah.
can
um
take you really low and it doesn't feel good. And the thing is, the more aware you are of what's happening within you, the more you're in
yeah,
tune with what you're thinking and feeling and
agreed.
what you're experiencing, how you're experiencing life from within. That's the more awareness you have of that, the quicker you can catch yourself and say, no, that doesn't feel good. I'm not going back there. I've like evolved past that, like it's about becoming more of your abundant self, living your best life now.
which
Wow.
will bring, which will open up to so much more, right? And it
Yeah, you
really
just
does.
naturally attract the right people, situations, new friends, the right partner when you're owning that energy and you're showing up in that. But the biggest blessing is just living happy and joyful now, right?
Yeah. And that's how
When
you'll
you're
know. Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, there's so many times where, like, I'm going to say about old stories of mine, of experiences that I've experienced. And I thought in the time, oh, this is the right person and this feels so good. But not realizing that the time that I'm attracting them is I'm going through my own experiences that were not not showing up as my best self and not
mm,
realizing that. So I think going forward, I think when like meeting someone, I think you've got to stop and think to yourself, what state of mind and what state of feeling have I been in
mm,
by and when I've attracted this person, because
yeah,
you can, right, because you can attract someone,
absolutely.
you can attract someone in that moment, and you was quite on a high, you've met up with your friends, but the whole 2-3 weeks beforehand you've been in a really bad spiral, and then that moment you've got happened to be in a little bit of a high and you've met someone, but the bigger energy that was going on was what's been happening over the past 3 or 4 weeks, let's say. So they end up being the wrong person as such, but you think it's the right person because of the way, because you was in a good mood that day. But actually you've got to really look at every part of you and see, like, back to what we said at the beginning, what Melissa was saying, what Michael's saying is, show up, get to know you. And if you are cool, knowing yourself, that you're showing up by your best self, and you've been really working on yourself, and you've really got into that deep understanding of your own desires, and you've left the old stories behind, you've cleared out, cleansed and cleared on the forgiveness side of things, and you're not carrying that baggage with you, then when you meet someone, you can kind of know to yourself, well, this is the work I've been doing on myself. So the fact that I've met someone doesn't mean they're going to be straight away the right person for you just because you met them, but you can take that time and understand where you're going and recognize what's going on in you in those moments. I think, yes, what I'm trying to say is just be very aware of you. To be so many people look at the other person and put blame on the other person, or he done this, or she done this, or she, and it's not about that. It all comes back down to what was you thinking, what was you feeling, how are you showing up, and what's inside you, what are you carrying, what old beliefs, what stories do you tell yourself. And if you're telling yourself things like, I'm never going to find anybody, then that story stems from somewhere in the childhood. You've got to find, where did that come
Yeah,
from? Because, right, it's an old
that's
story.
such a deep, yeah, you could do a few shows on that. And it's powerful that you said that, because you gathered all this data from your life, seeing how couples interact, your parents or your grandparents, or whatever relationships you saw, and that is the information you had downloaded into your brain of how relationships work. And is that data true? Is it healthy and good? I believe that a healthy partnership is about mutual respect, mutual compassion, mutual love, mutual affection, and mutual trust. Just for a starting point, again, that would be a few shows as well, what it entails to have a healthy relationship.
Well, I
So what is your idea
totally.
of a relationship? What is your, what are your beliefs that you're holding to within? Absolutely, Anthea. Yeah.
No, I agree with that because it's I guess I'll bring out a little bit of a surprise. It's something that I'm working on in the background, and it's exactly what you just touched on. It's what is your relationship blueprint? I'm working on a
Yeah,
document right now on it because a lot of people have bad relationship blueprints, either from
absolutely.
watching their parents treat each other
Yep.
very poorly,
Hmm.
relationships around them. So they've gathered all
Movies.
this movies. So
Yeah.
their
Music.
relationship blueprint is more like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. I'm
Yes.
supposed to accept bad behavior. I'm supposed to allow myself because that's what love is, because that's what they saw,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
even when it comes to the Disney fairy tale of it, to them,
Yeah.
that's their relationship blueprint. So there's
Yes.
literally, I want to call it a rewiring. It's a document that I'm working on. Is what is your relationship blueprint? Because
Mm.
until we can address what your blueprint is, now we can kind of gauge to see why your relationships have failed. Now we can make some adjustments to change some things to say the blueprint you had was wrong. It set you up for failure. Now we need
Yeah.
to create a new blueprint to say, okay, these are my standards. This is what I can deal with, and create a healthier blueprint.
That's so powerful, really. And that's amazing that you're working on that. I think that, what you do on this show is awesome. And just
Thank you.
bringing the awareness, bringing the authentic conversations, the real conversations where you just talk about it all is so cool, but so needed today,
Well, that's what we're
to,
trying to do because nobody
yeah,
wants to have these uncomfortable conversations.
yeah,
Everyone thinks relationships are all roses and like, but
yeah, right.
we have to have the uncomfortable conversations because a
Yeah,
lot of times, and again, I'm going to come in and say some big truth here. A lot of people don't want to do the self reflection because we've
They
all
don't.
been
yeah.
there. It is scary to have to look at yourself
Shine
and
the
say,
light in those
there's
dark
some things
places.
that need to be addressed. It's not easy to look at yourself in the mirror or when you're at home and saying, you know what? There's some things in me that I need to address. We've all
Yeah,
been there.
yeah.
And then, as he said, once you address them, that's when healing's on the other side of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
new
Yes.
experience of
Yeah, and
life,
a
a
new
Absolutely.
new
Yes.
experience.
way of
Yes.
experiencing life. It's
Yes.
so powerful to
Yes.
take that time and to really understand, like you said, the views you're projecting for relationships, what's a healthy relationship? What does that entail? Really
Yeah.
understand your beliefs about relationships, and that it doesn't have to be the heartache of those sad songs you grew up listening
No.
to or the
Yes.
drama you saw play out in your
Yes.
household. Like, you don't have to repeat the
No.
stories that you
And the
saw.
old
You
pattern.
can break the
Absolutely.
cycle, you can break the pattern.
Oh, you know what, Melissa? And it's so funny you just said that because, you said about the songs we grew up listening to as a Greek Cypriot. Most Greek Cypriot songs are literally, when I tell you they are, and any Greek Cypriot watching here can completely vouch for me
God
here,
bless.
right? Literally, this is how they go. Oh, I'm dying. I'm going to kill myself. I can't take it.
What type
Your
of music do you guys listen to over there? Jeez Louise.
this is how it used to be. This is how it used to be. This is the songs that used to be like, my love is so deep, it runs so deep that I can't take it living without you.
Oh,
I'm
can't live without you.
I
That
can't
one
live
right there.
without. Yeah,
Shut that off, people.
Who are these people? Who do you guys listen to?
Yeah,
Jeez
yeah.
Louise.
Shut that off. You can live your best life starting now. And
Sounds,
literally.
I
sounds
highly
like
encourage that you do. Commit to yourself. Commit to live your best life now. Find
Yes,
your joy within. It's in there. You're an
yes,
abundant well of love, and
that sounds like
allow
Celine
that
Dion
love to
music.
flow.
yeah, absolutely,
That sounded like
absolutely.
Celine Dion music. Like, jeez Louise, that
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
this
sad.
is what I mean. It was like that kind of thing back in the days, and we used to listen to it. And obviously, I hear it every so often now, and I'm just like, oh my god, are they still playing this stuff? Like, really? I mean, obviously, it's not as much as that now, but back in the villages and
Yeah.
the old way of being, that's what it was all about. And they see love as somebody that you have to be around, and if they're not with you, then like, and I'll give you another example. If somebody back, like, and I'm speaking probably like years ago, and I know some people still practice it today in Cyprus, but if somebody's husband passed away, the lady then wears black for the rest of her life and never gets into another relationship, because to her it's disrespectful, because they've been brought up to believe that. So even if their husband passed away at the age of, I mean, in Cyprus back then, they used to get married at like 14, 15, 16, really young. And it was arranged marriages. So let's say they were together for 10 years. They got together at the age of 18 and now they're 28. And for whatever reason, the partner passes away, the man I'm speaking of, he passes away, then that lady will do the rest of her life by herself and wear black every single day for the rest of her life, because they've been taught to believe that it's disrespectful to then look for another, or to then get with another partner. So they've dedicated themselves to that no matter what, and they continue to live that way. So imagine how many people have got that belief system in there, that they're not allowed to then meet somebody else after, and then they live their life alone when they could have met the best partner and the right partner again after. Because it's not that it's just one partner. We have loads of soulmates. Soulmates is not just a love thing. It's also in friendships. It's a soul connection that you guys get on. You share the same desires, you share the same vision in life. And I believe that's not just in a love relationship. I believe that's elsewhere too. And a soul partner doesn't mean that it's the only person for you. For you could be 20 years old and meet someone, it could be your soul partner, but only for 5 years, for you to learn from each other and really grow together, and then it's time for you to move on to somebody else maybe. But there's so many beliefs that have been installed in people that don't serve them. And I think that's what we were saying before. If you could go in and understand, what's those stories you tell yourself? Why do you tell yourself that you're not going to find someone? And then ask yourself, what would you prefer to believe? And
Yes.
take that and walk with that and speak that, what you prefer to believe. I prefer to believe that there's someone out there for everybody, and
Absolutely.
I'm one of those people. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful point you brought up too, is the levels you can connect on. When you connect with someone mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, that is just, everybody knows about the physical attraction, the elements of physical connection when it comes to a romantic partnership. But the power of connecting mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in friendships, and, like you said, on that soul level, and in romantic relationships too. That's really powerful for a lasting relationship.
Yeah.
Wow. So, man, you know what? We've been talking for almost 50 minutes. You guys have been fantastic. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully, you guys can take something away from it. That's what I want for you guys, is to take something away from it. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about everything. We talked about how to attract the right partner, how to be happy single, how to be happy in a relationship, how to go about it, how to address a lot of your pain. So again, look, Melissa, if there's anything you want to say before we go.
Yeah, I think my last thought that I'd love to share is just the more often you tune in to the feeling of love and gratitude, whether you're single or in a relationship, married 10 years, 12 years in the relationship now, every day I thank God for my husband, my kids, my life, and really feel that gratitude. And that's the key, I think, to living a happy life, is really going within, taking that time to feel love, to feel gratitude. It's the quickest and easiest way to be happy now. And I think the richest way to live.
I love it. I love it.
Profound. So true.
Yeah,
Right?
I love it. So yeah, we'll see you guys real soon. We appreciate you being here. And Melissa, thank you again for coming on. And
Thank you.
we'll
Thank
catch
you
you guys
so
soon.
much.
Much love.